Meeting to order. We'll go and stand for a moment of silence and pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So petition 1.
I make a motion we dismiss petition 1.
Second.
Fine? Yeah. So we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that is dismissed. Petition 2 is a petition for special use permit filed by Pastor David Stahl on behalf of Hopkinton First Seventh-day Baptist Church with mailing address of 8A Church Street, Ashway, Rhode Island, 02804. Property owned by them and located at 8A Church Street, Ashway, Rhode Island, 02804, identified as Assessor Plat 24, Lot 94, in an RFR 80 zone, and filed in accordance with sections 8C and 10 of Chapter 134 of the zoning ordinances of the town of Hopkinton as amended. Applicant is present or represented. The applicant is present.
Yes, sir.
And the supervisor. So if you would like to step up to the podium, or you can just go right there if you want. If you want. Oh, yeah, do you have the green cards? Did you submit all those?
All 89 of them?
I don't think you've submitted those yet, have you?
Our architect has them, and he's supposed to be joining this meeting tonight, but he's not here yet. But he has them all, and received all of them back.
All right. Well, then let's proceed. Will we?
When we get to verify it?
Yeah. While we play elevator music until we get here.
Okay.
Why don't we will just go through what you're up to. It looks like you're adding on to the church. You've got a. So you're adding on a new foyer and assembly area, some offices and two bathrooms.
Right. Yeah, the primary goals are the two ramps on either side of the building for handicap access to the basement level and the sanctuary level, and 2 additional handicap bathrooms and a foyer gathering space. The architect is here.
Okay, that is the church handicap accessible right now?
It is.
It is. Okay.
It is. There's a ramp on the outside of the building where, almost where you see the ramp on the inside of the new building. There's a ramp outside right now from ground level about where the new entrance would be. There's a ramp up into that side entrance of the building currently. But the lower level, the basement level, is not.
You can't get over that.
So
this
there's
helps
only
provide
a
access
small
to that.
internal staircase. Right. So this building is on grade in between the 2 levels. Sanctuary levels here, basement levels here. This building is at the grade in between. And with ramps to the upstairs and the downstairs. So all 3 levels would be accessible. And there's when we did the renovation of the basement level a couple of years ago, we put in a handicap accessible bathroom with the intention that someday that space would be accessible. When we did it, the building inspector came, the plumbing inspector said, why do you put an accessible bathroom down here? It's not accessible. And we said, we're hoping someday the space is. So this will finally connect all the spaces.
So I don't know, do you guys have any more questions for us? No? How about for the, maybe we'll have the architect speak for a minute.
Thank you.
I think what we do is we have you state the name for the record so we can give it out.
My name is Marco Tomasini. I'm with Hopkinton Architects in West Virginia.
Looks like you just submitted all the green cards.
I submitted and there were 2 letters of their return.
Okay, you got two back there, and then I will see how they did it for them up. Yeah, okay. All right, so, I think,
It's already brown, they're not covered.
I think one of my questions was just on the number of parking spaces. I've kind of reviewed it in the month that we've had to look at things. And if you could throw your professional 2 cents in on it. And
Definitely. We had heard that as a concern or a question since we submitted the application, and I sent in a statement to Sherry yesterday. So for the parking, what we did a calculation for the church, and I don't know if you have received that statement.
yes, yep, go out.
But I'm going to read from here, basically. The occupancy of the church is 250 people on the first floor and 150 people in the gallery. This is calculated as per building code at 18 inches of width, pew, for the extension, for the length of the pews. The pastor has confirmed that the typical occupancy of the church function is about 90 to 110 people, except for events such as weddings and festivities or holidays where it can reach up to 200 people. Never the capacity calculated by code. The new addition is mainly, as Pastor explained, is mainly a circulation space, but it has enough of the floor area to be able to do some gatherings or people to gather there before going into the church. We calculated that space, talked about it with the building inspector as how to calculate the occupancy of the space. So we calculated as if we were gathering the tables, and that would allow for 79 people at 50 square feet per person. The point we would like to make about that new addition is that the occupancy of that new addition will never be concurrent. The full occupancy of that new addition will never be concurrent with the occupancy of the church. So, because if there are events in there is not going to be a gathering in the addition if there is a church function. So what rules is really for parking is really the occupancy of the church, which is the maximum of 200 people, say, which is the wedding or Easter Sunday type of occurrence. For the parking, we counted the existing parking spaces in the paved area, and there are 58 spaces. They are marked. So at 3 people per car, that would allow for 174 occupants. That is all based on zoning regulations, calculations. However, there is plenty of lawn space in the lot, and we calculated going around the trees and leaving ample space for circulation. So about 1 acre of space for car parking. A typical calculation for parking lots where there is where the parking for traffic engineers or planning is about 400 cars per acre. I'm sorry, 100 cars per acre, 400 square feet per car. And so we figured that that would allow for another 100 cars for overflow if there was ever such a big event.
Could I interrupt and have a question?
Not right now.
Okay.
And if that were to happen, the total parking spaces on the lawn could bring between the lawn and the existing parking, could bring the total to about 158 parking spaces, which will yield an occupant load of 444 people at 3 occupants per car, which is what the zoning ordinance prescribes for calculation. So we feel that the parking is adequate, considering that on a typical occupancy, cars would never overflow the paved parking area. But then if they have to be parked in the grass, that would be possible as well. So we think that the parking is adequate for the occupancy of the church. And we believe that we meet the zoning regulations.
Do you guys have any questions? That's good.
I think last time we met, there was a question about the septic. We were trying to find any information on or anything like that.
We have not had a feedback yet from the Department of Environmental Management. So we are still investigating that. And so that is an open issue. It would have to be.
No records or anything like that of nothing in the archives or anything.
Only that diagram that we gave you last meeting that shows where the arm engineering sheet that shows the location and direction of the leach fields and that sort of thing. Neither arm engineering or DEM has still gotten back to me.
So any decision we make will depend on, would be subject to a suitable septic. Whether the existing one, if we need something from the state saying that the existing one is suitable, or we're gonna have to put
Plan for the
yeah, you're gonna have to put in.
That's basically our conclusion. There's not a way out from there.
About lighting, is there any new lighting proposed, exterior lighting pertaining to the parking areas?
We are proposing we will be proposing with the design of the building, some exterior lighting, wall mounted, and also some pole mounted.
Is that what they call dark sky compliant or something?
It would be all dark sky compliant and without spill, direct to the ground. And the poles would be not higher than 12 feet.
What's the town ordinance on that? So you'd have to confer with Sherry on that. Just have to look at the ordinance, make sure you're staying within the limits for that.
In the kind of the basic design, I think any kind of green features, solar power, lights, any solar power parking lights or any kind of green feature, anything like that.
We have not contemplated any yet. Because of the nature of this space and that it will not be occupied continuously on a regular basis. It may not be that there may not be that any payback on any investment of that type, but we may want to investigate. I have to frankly, to tell you the truth, we have not, established that type of, or we have not talked about it in the past.
As far as impervious area, are you creating more impervious area?
Except for the footprint of the building, we are not. And a little apron in front of the building to
That's
serve
for
as
handicap.
sidewalk. Well, to go from the parking lot to the door of the sidewalk.
It's pretty straightforward. So, again, in a month off, I did a little review of our zoning ordinance, I don't know if you guys looked into it, we do have an on-street parking ordinance. And when I looked at this, Sherry and Ron, you can correct me, or you guys if I'm wrong, but when I look at section 28, it's off-street parking, and we read through this ordinance, it would be subsection A1-G is what appears to apply for the church. It's any other non-residential use. Would have one parking space for every 250 square feet of floor for the building. So doing calculations, and I'm not the best mathematician here, but it looks like that would equal with all of the buildings, because you have 2 existing buildings and then the addition. I come up with that would be 47 parking spaces that are required as for a off-street parking ordinance. The church is a weird anomaly because it has more people than maybe than parking would require, but that's all the town is asking for this type of property. I don't know if you guys have looked at that.
So they make it.
Yeah, they're well over with what's existing, what the town requires as far as I see. In reality, I think there's been issues in the past with people parking on the street, probably because it's easier. And I think that's something that the towns probably won't have to address with signage, no parking signs or something that becomes a big problem.
I think it's something that we can address as part of this project with the pastor.
If that's been an issue with some of the neighbors, I mean, I think to be a good neighbor, you should try to get parishioners to give them common spaces, even though it's more convenient on the road. Probably just access to get out. They don't want to get stuck in a little traffic jam when you're done. And then if you do have a big event, I don't know if we want to do it as a condition or something, but if you like the parking on
So based on your calculation now, what do you know about?
So in this ordinance, it says 1 parking space per 250 square feet. If you guys want to go through it, just to check it.
Did you come up with how many spaces?
I came up with about 47.
Yeah, that's
So-
50.
So if we look at the main church, right? The main church, the town tax card has it as 5,300 square feet. There's 2 floors. So that comes out to about 21 spaces. And then we have the existing community hall. That's 2,800 square feet. That comes out to about 12 spaces. I think I rounded up this month. And then the addition is 3,404, which comes out to 14 spaces. So I'm coming up with about 47. So when you round up to 50, there's still 8 to 10 under. If they do have a large event or something like that, and it's all on the corner, I mean, that's all the town's asking for.
We've got 58 right now, they're not losing any with the, okay,
Yeah, and just a note there, I called the architects back too late, but I counted the marked spaces as 61. But they were using Google Earth, and sometimes the images are, we added some spaces, less than 6 months ago.
So, I mean, that's really all we can do is go up with the town asks. I mean, even though, like I said, the use is weird because, you have pews, and you can put more people there than probably, some of the other larger businesses in town might have, but
I ended up doing the most stringent calculations after I spoke to the building inspector after the vacation.
yeah.
And he mentioned about this, so just for verification, I wanted to do it based on the building code.
Yeah, your calculations are a lot more detailed, and it makes sense with the direction you were coming from. I'm going back to our zoning ordinance because, it looks like he falls within. So, I really don't know what any other things to ask him, except it's pretty straightforward. They got thrown into this situation because they call for special use permit because it's a church. And that was really the only parameters. All the other setbacks and everything else, they fell into it. It's just because it's a special piece of property being a church. We see a lot of other properties come in where they have some other type of anomaly, whether it's a dimensional setback, it's a pre-existing non-conforming use. It's just a church, not that it's just a church, it's just a church. Guys good with questions? Anyone from the audience? Now you can speak.
Now we're going to speak.
I
I
Go ahead. Sure. Yeah, now, when we're hearing testimony from an expert, we gotta let them finish. But now we'll go to you.
Okay, can I stand here or should I go over there?
I think we can hear you fine. State your name for the
Okay,
record.
my name's Gregory Gardner.
Okay.
I live at 19 Church Street, so a little bit down the road. So one, I haven't seen the addition of the plans. So do we have an opportunity to take a look at the plans?
We can,
I mean,
I have a
it
copy
would just
here.
be now.
I'm sorry.
I said it would just be for now, but, you know, I'd like to have that opportunity to look at.
You can take a look on, they've been on file here at the town hall for over a month.
Okay, I apologize. I have-
Yeah, no, we can,
I'm happy to share a copy.
yeah, he can bring it set out. If you want to throw it on the table up there, if it helps you take a peek at it.
Sure, thank you.
I have a larger one too.
No, this is fine, thank you.
These are the exterior elevations.
Yeah, I'm interested.
Is that okay if you congregate here?
Absolutely. If anybody else in the audience would like to, could you state your name for the record?
Robin
So
Dubay,
this is the existing church.
12 Church Street, Ashway,
This is
Rhode Island.
the proposed addition. So the proposed addition is.
I live next door to the church.
Um,
In the church, don't belong.
Existing.
Sorry to say,
All the way.
but we've had our differences in the past.
It's all the way along
There's
the
been several issues. Parking, every time they have an event, they block up the street. And not just one side of the street, they block the whole side.
That's what I was trying to say.
If there was ever a fire,
Very well.
and a fire truck had to get down, or an ambulance, it would be a leak. I've lived there for 30 years. I've never seen the church park on their own lawn. They park on my lawn, it's fine. They park right up to my bedroom, but they won't park on their own. So parking is an issue. Also, they enlarged the parking lot a few years ago. They tripled the size of their asphalt parking lot, okay? Now it's giving issues to the street, okay? It's washing out the road. So now the town is gonna be, I don't know if the town's gonna fix the road, or we're just gonna let it wash out and have deeper ditches, or what? But there's definitely a water runoff issue. Okay? This building they're proposing is going right on top of their septic. Their existing septic. Okay? I don't see that
How do
as
you-
beneficial problem.
How do you know that, Rob?
I watched the one, Joel Manfield put it in.
When Joel did?
Yes, he did. Probably early 2000. That's why the tar parking lot only goes up to within so 20 feet of the existing church, because the rest of it's all there used to. He also put in the ball pipe. I don't see how this is beneficial to the town at all. Okay, it's my understanding, and I don't know, maybe, you know, out of turn here, but the church is non-taxable, is that correct? What extra taxes is the town going to benefit from getting this big commercial building? It's going to, you know,
It's not a commercial,
Why?
it's not a commercial building.
It's, no, you're right, it's not a case. It's a church building, okay? It's gonna inconvenience neighbors. It is in the historical district. I see people from Pennsylvania, New York, Iowa, Kansas, all the time coming by and taking pictures
implications of this church, because it's a historical church. How is this going to add to the historical value of this property? Any questions?
I'm wondering what you're saying.
No, as far as the historic district, it's different than what we have down here in Hopkinton too. This is a historic, no, they're on the historic register. Historic district just is, it's a notation that it's a historical area. It doesn't bind any building to any
I
specific.
understand that, but it's still RFR 80 or 8 or 2 with this. Sherry, can you correct me? I don't know what it is.
That agrees RFI.
So, yes, so it's zoned RFR 80, so that has nothing to do with the historical district.
Okay.
And
But
again,
it's
the
still,
historic district,
the church is listed in a historical landmark. How's that?
just, my house is in the historical district, it's just a notation on the historical register that it has historical background. It's not bound by anything.
But I don't see how adding a modern family center to this building will help its historical value or site, line of sight.
It doesn't really have to be.
I mean, I went over here to next door and I looked at pictures of them moving that church with horse and oxen from Chasen Road up Main Street to where it sits now. Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, that's, to me, that's historical.
That's your own personal opinion, but I don't think that doesn't bind anyone from stopping them from adding on to any building, whether it's a residential building, a commercial building, a church, they can do that. The only reason why they're in here, again, I said right before we had the public speak, was they're in here because they're a church. That's the only special reason why they're in here. It's not because of setbacks, it's not because of any other special conditions, it's just the fact that they're a church. And it's just to give the town oversight as to what they're doing. And if they fall within all the town code and building codes and parameters as far as zoning and planning and stuff like that, they'll be allowed to do it. If there's an issue with where the septic is, they're gonna have to address that issue, because we're gonna make this whole thing subject to
Well, I don't
approved
see,
septic system.
I don't see where they're going to put a septic system if they're going to put a building where the septic system is.
They and the state will dictate that. If the state
I
doesn't,
understand.
if the state doesn't find a suitable site, then they have it up to it, right? As far as the parking, have you ever addressed that with the police department, or have you addressed it with the town council?
No, I haven't.
Because honestly, on-street parking is more of a town issue, not a zoning issue. It's a little more of a law enforcement issue, I believe.
Also, the police department, when they came, they were told us that it was a non-issue to them because it was on private property.
If parking on the street is an issue, then I think I would take it up to the council.
I'm not talking about parking on the street, I'm talking about parking on my lawn. I'm talking about parking on my property.
Right. And that's an enforcement issue.
Exactly.
Right. That's not a zoning issue, because we can't stop.
I understand that, but
doing.
if it happened in the past with what they have, okay, it's not going to get better by adding more space and more people. You understand what I'm saying?
I understand your concern, and I understand it's a legitimate concern, but I also don't think the pastor, the church can control directly an individual from parking on the
Okay.
lawn.
So,
If that issue happens, what I would do is I would talk to the pastor, unless you guys aren't on speaking terms, and I would try to get him to address the parishioners to make sure that they park in the appropriate places. If somebody doesn't park in the appropriate place, then you should call the police. If they're parking on the lawn, you should call the police.
okay, so what about water runoff? Okay, we've added 3 times the parking lot, now we got the street washing out. That is a town issue.
Where do we go down? I think, but those again are town, that's something that has to go to the town council to address those issues.
Okay.
With what we do here with the zoning,
All right,
those
so
things don't
now
apply.
you're going to allow them, or you're going to look at them to add 3,400 more square feet of non-permeable surface area for water runoff, when the water runoff is already a problem. Does that make sense?
It doesn't fall within the framework.
Well,
Okay,
that-
but does that make sense?
Yeah, in addition to that, there's kind of roof drain or something to help for any increase in impervious area.
Is that area already paved with
No.
additions?
No,
that's
and I
grass.
can address this issue as far as the additional impervious surface of the footprint of the building.
All right, when he's done, maybe we'll speak on that. We'll see if he has some other things.
It would not account for the parking areas there, at least it would take care of anything going here forward.
And,
Yeah.
okay. So he's gonna come back and speak, the architect is to the runoff, so maybe we'll get some better.
Thank you, Karen.
You good? Okay.
Thank you.
Are there anybody else in the audience that would like to speak?
Yeah, I'll just speak. Again, my name is Greg Gardner, and I live close to Robin, down the hill. But I would reiterate the same concerns with respect to the parking and with respect to the surface water. Obviously, infiltration of leaching fields and so forth, that would be addressed. But, well, that is our concern.
Yeah, no, I heard.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, I appreciate that. With respect to existing conditions and expansion, we've had cars parked on our property as well. And while it may not be handled here at zoning, and we should take it up with some other entity, but I think for consideration of approval of this, that, and the other, it should be something that should be tied in together. And how do you weave something together to make a final decision? That's the question that I have.
Has that been a regular occurrence on a weekly basis, the parking?
Not on a weekly basis, but it is a regular occurrence with respect to activities and functions, that's true. Thank you.
Let me address some of this.
Just stand up, state your name for the record.
I'm Gary Marsh. I am a deacon at the church. I've been there ever since 1970. I've been around for a while. The only time there's any cars parking on that road is twice a year. In fact, one time we had the police there patrolling that. That was one of the cars that we had. So that's the only issue. This is not an every week issue. We have sufficient parking for the congregation. The addition is really not increasing the congregation any way possible. What the addition is doing is giving us the ability to take a ramp and go inside, down, around, and into the basement without putting an elevator. Plus, it gives us a great room where we will meet. But it's not adding people. So at this point, I don't think that's even a consideration. Yeah, if we're parking cars on the street all the time, I can see that. In fact, the congregation will probably look at areas how to solve that themselves. The looks was brought up about the church. I'm sensitive to that. That's a beautiful Greek revival church that we have. The pictures that the architect has doesn't do it justice, because my understanding is that the addition will carry through the design as the same as the church, the Greek revival. Correct?
That's correct.
That's correct.
I asked to define this space.
So it's not going to look like, as I like to say, it's not going to look like an outhouse just slapped to the side of the church. It's going to kind of continue on design-wise, like it belonged
We can appreciate that. I mean, it
Well,
keeps the character of the village, which is nice. Except you're not bound by that. I mean, there's nothing that makes you.
Well, the congregation, this is our opinion, because we understand that church is a historical church. It's a beautiful church. I first started going there because I wanted to get married, and that's what Bethlehem Church, you get married in a church like that. And I've always been sensitive to that as far as keeping that church along the same themes of what it has been. And that addition will just continue along those themes. The overflow parking, like I said, that's a twice a year thing that happens. And one of the last times we did have the Hopkinton police there, help parking cars.
You've been there since 1970? You have a good working knowledge of the building, of the property?
Fair.
Fair. Septic system, any
No,
idea?
I don't know.
Okay. This seems to be an elusive,
Yeah, that's the big question.
I'm an architect for woodwork.
okay.
I run an architectural
Yeah.
shop. That's why you notice me saying, keeping everything the way it is. You know, bringing the Greek revival, keeping right across.
You gonna make some of the moldings for it?
Yes, good chance.
I assume.
Having it pass, I think.
There you go.
May I address a couple of those things?
Sure.
Just real quick. Gary has made moldings in the church. He's matched all our old moldings when we renovated and done beautiful stuff. So just built beautiful cabinets for us in the front of the sanctuary and matched the panels in the pulpit. And he does great work. Just a little commercial. I did want to mention the same point that we recognize twice a year when we do these large cantata events, we get more people. And they're people that we don't know, they're just public events. The Christmas time is the event where we get people to park down the street because it's part of the Ashaway holiday stroll. So on that day, there are people parked on the streets all over Ashaway. And so the police are out in extra force. So last year, I met with Chief Palmer in advance and said, you know, we get a lot of people at this. Chief Palmer actually was our police detail. He came out and spent the afternoon outside the church, a 6-hour detail to make sure that cars were parking where they should be. He was directing them down the street where to park, directing them to the school or the post office or Our Lady of Victory, other nearby parking spaces personally. So he did a great job with that. So the other thing that we've done since those last cantatas was that we put up a fence on the property border between ours and the Dubays. From just as far in, I went to the building officials to make sure we could, how far out that fence could go to the road. We went out to that length and put a fence straight back on the property line to the woods. I think that makes a very clear definition between the properties. Don't think there will be any confusion with someone driving through or around that fence. It wouldn't even be possible from our property onto the Dubay's property. So we've made some improvements, I think, to hopefully address those things and not have any confusion.
So that holiday stroll, I mean, that's an actual village event.
Correct.
Like, that's not specific to the church.
Correct, but we have a part in it. The church is open through the day for tours. As one of the decorated places in the town, there's a trolley or a bus that comes down the street and drops off and picks people up at the church and makes its rounds, and people park there for a cantata event. So it is a townwide event, and there are people parked all over the place. I know the police do the best they can to manage it, and most of the neighborhood enjoys, the experience.
How often do you have weddings?
Once every 2 years would be the average since I've been.
Very infrequently.
Yes. I think, I've been here 9 years. I think I've done 5 weddings at the church. And a few of those have been weekday weddings with a gathering of 15 or 20 people. So.
Yeah, that's my next question. They typically large. So do you think that your wedding crowd is going over capacity on the parking?
No. No, certainly in my almost 10 years there, we've never had a wedding that exceeded capacity, or a funeral that exceeded capacity, I don't think. Funerals are probably once or twice a year at the church.
Okay, do you think they over capacity?
No.
The parking part of it? No. Do you hold any other church events that are large gatherings other than Sunday worship?
I have another question.
You guys have any more questions?
And just one thing too is issues brought up about drainage. And in terms of the new structure, the new addition, if this were to get approved, you would not object to either rain gardens or some sort of dry well system to at least capture all the water that's going to come off the new addition?
It's going to be.
Not at all, let the architect address that, because I know he's talked about it, I know we had.
At least that way,
It will meet, as a matter of fact, state requirements, and it will be contained inside, so it's going to be routed to a dry well on the property, and it's not going to break underground, and it's not going to drain into the parking lot.
Okay, so either rain garden or some sort of dry well
That is
system.
correct.
And then in terms of septic system, that's going to clearly be taken care of.
We have to meet code requirements as well, so that, therefore, I was really hoping that we would get some historic information on exact boundaries, but we have to, most likely we're going to be required to define where it is in city capacity and all this other stuff. It's one of the issues that come up when you do something like this.
On the arm engineering plan that you provided, it shows a septic system, it shows a field,
Yeah,
but it has not been verified.
that's correct, that's correct.
And I would just add that when we did expand our parking lot, by the way, it didn't triple in size, that would have been a much bigger lot. But when he expanded the parking lot last time, I want to say that was 5 or 6 years ago maybe. And where we put the parking lot was to put it between the buildings and between our existing handicap access ramps. Certainly not our impression or our understanding that the septic system is in that space of grass underneath where the building is. We've had some real large trucks and equipment and other vehicles for various projects driving over there. And that's not what's on that diagram, nor is it closest to where the outlet is. The only thing I know from inside the building is where the outlet is to the septic
Where is the outlet to the?
It's in the far, just getting my directions, northwest corner, the back left corner.
About 2 buildings, about 1 building,
Out of the church building.
out of the church building.
Out of the church building. So, my understanding is that it's back in that corner somewhere. There are covers there. I just don't know what the covers are for and what's under the covers. I'm not the professional, so I haven't tried to check it out myself.
But
But
actually hired a company that could open those and they can actually run a camera right down the sewer line for you.
So I can't say for sure, but obviously we gotta find out, and obviously we can't have a septic system under our building, and we're aware of those things. It's not our understanding that it's located in that space where the building is, but we'll find out when we find out, and we'll make it what it needs to be, so.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the point I was trying to make, is regardless of where the septic is, even if it's on the way to put in the building, if you're gonna put the building, you have to update your
So
site.
we will relocate it, obviously.
And the state's gonna dictate how and where,
Correct.
so. The same thing, you've just addressed the water runoff from the new proposal, that's gonna stay on site and dry wells and return back into the earth, not on the parking lot. All right? Well, the parking issue, I mean, they have, as far as zoning dictates, they have more than enough spaces with what zoning allows. With the architect's calculations, he has plenty of parking for the number of parishioners and the people that occupy the building. What people are doing and who they are that are parking in the inappropriate places and when, honestly, it's a town issue, it's an enforcement issue, it's not a zoning issue in my eyes, unless if you guys want to correct me or Sherry, am I saying it clear?
Yes. And like you said, I came up with the same calculations. So from a zoning standpoint, you have more than enough based on the square footage of the existing and the proposed. And again, as Jonathan said, I think obviously your parishioners would know that they're supposed to be parking. And I think as you stated with the fence up now, there's clearly a line that's going to eliminate the church's property from the debate property.
I mean, I would hope, continue to do your due diligence and notify the police department on big events like that. I mean, I applaud you for doing that, and they actually get the chief out there, you want it to the top. I don't think that's often that it does
And
that.
we did that for 2 reasons. Obviously, church safety is an issue for us in today's day and age. people for whatever reason to go after an assembly of people who are gathered. So we did that really for two reasons: to have a presence there for church safety and a public gathering after shootings and other incidents that we've all seen. So we really wanted two things. We wanted the presence there, but we also wanted the presence outside. We asked the chief to be outside to handle the parking issues and that sort of thing. My understanding is he couldn't get anyone else that wanted to do the detail that day, but he enjoyed the program at the church.
Pastor, maybe in good faith, maybe you could talk to your parishioners or churchgoers that, hey, we really like to have everybody come in. I realize you don't have a big, massive event every Sunday. And when you do have an event, maybe you can be a good neighbor, reach out to your neighbors and say, hey, by the way, maybe we'll have a one-on-one with some of your parishioners and say, hey, be careful with the park, don't park on the grass, something like that.
Sure. And I can certainly consult with the police department too on other ways that we can do that, which would be legal, like investing in 50 traffic cones and putting them down the side of the road to keep people off the lawn. I'm willing to do whatever things we can do to make it as smooth as possible for the neighbors. So I'm certainly willing to consult with the chief on what's safe and legal and good ways to do that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's, not that you're not a good neighbor. I mean, I understand there's some tension going on with the neighbors, which is unfortunate, but if you can reach out, I know in my neighborhood, if a neighbor's having a concert or something, like they'll have a band come over. They'll call everybody up and just let us know, or they'll just put out an invite, which is more of just an informal way of saying, hey guys, it's gonna be loud on Friday night till 11, right? At least you're not catching them off guard with something, because God knows it's always the nicest summer evening that somebody does something, and then things go haywire, and it's not the night that you expected to happen.
And those two events a year, part of the function of the church and the community is to reach out to the community. So when we do those two events a year, they're always advertised on our lighted sign in the front yard. They're always in the newspaper, they're always on the website, they're always on the church Facebook page. They are by their very nature public invitation events, so none of them are private events. They are community public invitation events, so we try our very best to actively invite everyone in the community, but certainly we can do that more directly.
Maybe phones or signs, or temporary signs or something, or talk with the chief, maybe better signage in front of the church to keep people that aren't church members off of it. Like I said, if you have a guest that shows up on Sunday and it's out wherever, they're making you look bad unintentionally, right?
Right.
But I mean, most of that is outside of our jurisdiction, I guess. Any more questions? Everybody else out there, you guys, you have any?
Yeah, I have a question. We've spoken about the church and so forth, but are there any other activities that go on, say, on the property well, that's my question. Are there any other activities that go on the property that's not church related?
As in someone else renting the space or using the
Auctions.
space? Yeah, historically we used to do, Bob Ward used to hold auctions at the church, but we renovated our parish house several years ago, and he hasn't done that for several years now.
Okay.
No intentions for them in the foreseeable future. On occasion, we have somebody, use the parish house for a family party, a baby shower, or something like that. Girl Scouts have used the parish house on and off. It's not something we rent, but, just as a community space. So we've had some scout groups use the building on and off for evening scout meetings, which are usually, again, the neighborhood of 20 people.
Like those are never going on with church
They're
functions?
very small gatherings. What was that?
There's no other church functions going on at the same time?
No, those would be weeknight meetings or that sort of thing.
Thank you.
You have another question?
Yes. Your definition of offense won't work, okay? Because You just had a chorus event.
Robert, can you address us? Not
I'm sorry.
Robin?
Robin.
Robin, sorry.
They put up a fence on December 7th, defining my property and their property. They had a chorus event in January, and 3 of their people that went to the chorus from the church parked up my lawn. So their definition of a fence to define the property line does not work. Okay?
What kind of fences are up?
It's a 6-foot vinyl fence.
It's clearly marked,
And they went around it?
yes.
Yeah.
Was that on the street?
I went from the street into my my
No
yard.
problem,
And they're people from your church. And then the church, after they put this fence up, okay, they put signs on the gates. Church use only, keep out. That's being really neighborly, I think. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Let me address, I'll start by addressing the signs. Why we have the signs there?
Gary,
Okay,
you are sorry.
why we have the signs people out is there's gonna be a playground in that area. And we don't want the neighbor's children getting hurt in that playground. We wanna be able to, it's gonna be set up for after we have a worship service. If the kids wanna go out and play, if there's something going on, maybe a swing and things like that. We don't wanna make it into a town playground. So that's why, it's just a legal reason why we've done that. There's no reason it's not being a Christian way. As far as parking is concerned, again, it's just twice a year this happens. They're probably parking on the side of the road, which is the one they're probably want a little bit on. It's debatable even if it's a property, it's on the side of the road. The town owns so many feet from the center of the house. So that could even be debated on all that. But that's what it is, it's twice a year.
Okay. You guys want to proceed here? Where we at in mind? Do we want to have some discussion?
Close the public hearing.
Yeah. Can we get a motion?
Motion, close, close.
Make sure everybody's
Second. Is everybody finished out there? Good? Okay, we have a second, so Mike, motion to close the public hearing. All in favor? Aye. We're gonna have some discussion first.
Yeah, might specifically be trying to
So,
Is that actually, I could not find any information on the septic. Tommy Bucks, Robbins, Mr. Gardner's, all on the website. If Joe put one in there in 2000, it would be on the website. It's not.
how far back does the website show it from?
It goes to 1990.
So, with your research on the state database, it's pretty much being
It's gotta be. I did catch Joe, he's in Maine now, for good, but he hasn't answered me back. Chances are, that's not what he did.
right, we pretty much came to that conclusion last month, we were having a light discussion, right?
New design on it, so. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, I mean, those are my two big issues, I mean, with the parking, I understand where they're coming from, and I can understand why it's upsetting.
Well, now that they left, not to cause any more trouble, but I think Pastor came up with the cone idea. Great idea. The best idea I've heard, that, just keep them away from that property. The police won't have any trouble with you putting cones down the side of the road.
And Ronnie, can you just speak to your experience? Have you ever seen a time when you could not get a truck down that fire road?
It'd be very unlikely.
No, I mean, and that's, the neighbors are entitled to their opinion, they put it on the record, and I understand their concerns. And obviously, there's a history going on with, well, what's his name? Robin, Mr. Doobie. Dubay.
Robin Dubé.
So So, I mean, he's aggravated and frustrated with many issues going on. It's the same sentiment, but he basically is upset about the fight. So whatever you can do to alleviate it, and help, try. I mean, I think you are trying.
We'll keep trying.
Yeah. Reach out, keep that out. We'll
I mean,
keep trying.
obviously, you would have no trouble with Tommy Buck across the street,
Or Dinwiddie's across the street.
and Woody's, right?
Paquette's across the street, and
I think for the sake of buying some traffic cones,
the Mills.
on that side of the road would do wonders for you.
Well, I think that's an interesting thing for the record too, is Tommy Buck, who's a council member, lives diagonally across the street. I mean, you would think if there was a big issue, it would be a topic for the council. So,
I've gone down Route 3 a million times on Sundays and never seen them blocking the road, so.
and for the record too, Ronnie Spizzato, our board member, is the fire chief in Ashway, actually drives the fire truck. So,
I just never seen it.
And roll them or you drive?
those
Try not
are
to drive them at all anymore if I get away with it.
Oh, but that never gets put on the record, your background as far as that, that's why I want that as well, because Ronnie's the fire chief, so he knows access to the trucks and stuff.
And they are gonna have to make some upgrades to the fire. They're gonna have to put a fire alarm in, which I asked Woody to reach out to you.
He did, and we had a good long phone conversation, and he's supposed to be coming down soon for us to walk through together and talk it over, so.
If you have any trouble, just reach out to me on that.
He was excellent on the phone. I think we understand what we have to do, and I think it's gonna be no problem.
He's a wealth of knowledge, but it's black and white with it. Sometimes you have to. So any issues, just give me a call.
We did do the count that he asked for the architects anyway, for the seating capacity, so we measured every pew, we did the 18 inches and rounded up. So we have the numbers for
I
him.
know what you guys
And,
are.
yeah, he was helpful.
Good.
We'll get it done.
All right, so where are we? So we're just gonna ask them to check out the drainage issue, and they know they gotta deal with the septic. That's gonna be part of the building permit regardless anyway.
Yeah, so whatever we do, if we approve tonight, it's gonna be subject to septic.
And try to mitigate the drainage the best they can to the parking lot, the best they can.
And the next, I'm sorry,
No, you can speak, fire away.
the next process of approvals will need also that verification of the septic system.
Yeah, it's just if it's prior to 1990, they're gonna make it verified, and it is good. Hopefully the DM don't pick on you too bad.
Yeah.
That's,
Like I said, when I called them and opened the can of worms, I thought they'd be all over us, and I can't get them to call me, they don't care. Can't get them to call me back.
You have a public well on the property, though, I would think that even Board of Health might have something else on that.
Yeah, you just did the public well recently, right?
That's what the ARM engineering diagram was for, that you were looking at. It was 2008 or 9, and that's when ARM engineering did that report with the drawing of the septic in that location. It was for the public water supply. So I would assume that they would verify it at that time. I can't imagine that the state with public water supply would have let ARM engineering just make something up. I would assume that that was verified.
Well, they are two different departments.
Right.
Public health is totally separate from ISDS, so.
Good, whatever you guys have. Okay, no more questions? You guys want to let Joe get going?
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on? I want to fire it in there. If somebody else wants to fire it,
we're gonna go through some findings of fact here,
want to do that?
on record?
Let's do that, help them out.
I find that as a church.
Well, for findings of fact, the existing church is 5,300 square feet, plus or minus.
Is it the oldest structure on that street?
Yes.
The existing community hall is 2,800 square feet.
The parish house is the oldest building on the street.
3,440. If we follow our ordinance, section 28, off-street parking, it requires 47 spaces based on that square footage. We also incorporate the testimony that Mark was on the scene, where he expressed even stringent calculations on the number of parking spaces.
Taking into account using an acre lot.
Yes, and that's based on the number of people in the building, not on the square footage. So we use different calculations for different purposes. The existing parking is 58 spaces. And based on Mr. Thomasini's calculations, that's 3 people per car, which would be 170 people.
The passenger skid is actually 61 spaces out there. There's actually a few more spaces on that one.
Pastor Stoll Steve is essentially 61.
We're going to use Main Street as the frontage.
Main Street, yes, Main Street is the front lot of the property. This is the corner lot, right? There's over an acre of lawn area that could accommodate 100 plus or minus cars. The addition is, no, I got one. I can keep going. Well, I wrote down a lot of them as we were going. So the addition provides more adequate fellowship area, office space, and handicap accessibility to not only that building, but the church itself, and also the bathrooms.
I did at lunch talk to 2 parishioners, and one was for it, and one was against it.
What the addition?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's the way Rhode Island is.
Can I have those names run down? I already know them.
I wish I could. One of them knew my grandmother really well. They were super nice people.
Barbara and Susie.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were super nice. I don't even know how the subject came up, but.
Exterior lighting will be dark sky.
I gotta tell them to stop me eating lunch in town.
Don't come down on past them. They're very nice ladies.
They're great. I did want to talk with Barbara after your lunch.
Oh, she said she ran into me?
Pastor Stoll, is there any exterior signage? Are you putting any new signs with this?
There will not be new signs added. There are currently signs. There will not
No
be.
new signage, no new exterior signage added. The septic will be subject to state approval.
Is there a condition?
Well, yeah, I'm going to leave that in the conditions there. Yeah,
Yeah, we got that. Condition.
we got those.
We got the conditions. Parking, the range, and
I think that's it. You guys want to? I know I have one of them. Give me 2 seconds.
All right, so we got to regurgitate all that back in the motion.
You can make a motion to incorporate those. I think Tiana has them all down pretty clearly.
They're exactly the way they.
Yeah.
So if you want to make a motion to incorporate
Yeah, but do we know for sure there's actually something going on in the computer, or is she just moving buttons?
She's really out of rhythm, and she's actually trying to learn how to play the piano.
If you read the minutes from last month's meeting, you would.
Thanks, Joe.
So, I'd like to entertain a motion that we add those several items as findings of fact. Special use hearing.
Make a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Any conditions?
I come up with 3 conditions we want to put on this.
You can draw on in form of a motion, if you guys want to add to it or elaborate on discussion.
Also, one that's in my head is the parking. I move that the parking condition be imposed that in any large event, attendees are directed in some form or fashion to park on the church's lawn rather than clog the streets or in the spots like that.
Can I make that amendment to that?
We haven't got a second, but you have to, he needs to explain that a little more. What are you trying to get at, Joe?
The architect pointed out that they have an acre of land that they could use for parking in larger events. I just kind of want to see something that would enforce that to be used rather than as a overflow, maybe start there or.
I think the only way you could word that is all parking would remain on their property.
Okay.
Because we don't really have any right to police the street.
Yeah, because that's something, to have that as a condition in the way you're proposing, I understand what you're trying to do. But I think we get into too much into the procedural aspect of it.
None of our business.
Yeah, it really isn't our business.
What about signage?
There is no signage.
Signage for the people, that's-
Well, we can condition that they put up signs that say
patrons.
all church function members or all church function
Patrons.
patrons are on site.
Or parishioners.
Something to that effect. I don't know where.
It's a church, not a shopping mall. Just saying.
I'm not addressing the group, but just thinking out loud that we can't necessarily tell people they can't park on the street unless there's no parking signs on the street. I mean, I'm on board with the good faith here of trying to, I just don't want us to end up with restricting wording that says the church promises people won't park on the public streets.
So that's why I said that just police and urge that everybody park on your property. Because we really can't enforce if somebody wants to park in front of someone's house.
Street parking is a town issue.
Not us.
Yeah, it's not as much, I mean, the church has responsibility for it as well, but that's something that has to be worked out with enforcement, not us, we don't control on street parking.
I think the safest way to eliminate that issue is that one house gets cones in front of it, any big function. I'm pretty sure that's gonna end that.
I don't necessarily think that we should make that a condition. I mean, I think that's just a good faith effort on the church to do that. Do you guys want to have it?
I don't really think we need a condition on the parking.
They stated that they're gonna make every effort to try to keep parking on their own property. Deal with that.
I'm good with that.
Okay. I'll rescind my motion.
Thank you.
I follow up on Joe's, make a motion that the prior to issuance of a building permit, that the septic system get approval from our EM system suitability, which either A, says that what's there is adequate to what they're proposing, or B, they get an approved OWPS, on-site wastewater treatment system application approved prior to it, number one. And number two is that the drainage, again, just to address the neighbors' concerns and the fact that they're having some drainage with past activities, is contained or some sort of approval / drawings or rain garden or underground storage, a dry well, they handle the roof drainage from the proposed addition.
From the new end.
Be approved, the new addition, be approved prior to issuance of the building permit.
Second.
Any more conditions?
No, I'm good. They're just kind of two minor ones that they're willing to address anyway. So.
The septic.
Oh, the septic they have no
The
choice.
septic is a normal one, and I mean, this whole decision would be subject to, as Dan stated. That puts more detail on which is on the record now. It addresses Joe's concern, I think we all have this, and then the same with the drainage, and the Dan Wood, we elaborate on as well, so that's not that good. So we have a second from Joe. We have discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Yep.
The flag reasons. Okay, so, with that said, based on the findings of facts and the conditions stated, I move the zoning board finds the proposed use will be compatible with the neighboring uses and will not adversely affect the surrounding neighbors' use in enjoyment of their property.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
No, I want to like it.
Aye. I move, based on the findings of facts and conditions stated, the zoning board finds that the proposed use will be environmentally compatible with neighboring properties and the protection of property values.
Second. Give me a second. Any discussion?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
I move, based on the finding of fact and the conditions imposed, the zoning board finds that the proposed use will be compatible with orderly growth and development of the town and will not be environmentally detrimental therewith.
Aye.
Any second? Second. Any discussion?
None.
We got like 3 ayes, a second, and all in favor? Aye. Unanimous.
I move, based on the findings of fact and conditions imposed, the zoning board finds that the proposed use, special use serves the purpose of this ordinance and the comprehensive plan for the reasons previously stated.
Second, Ronnie second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The last motion I've got here is based on the findings of facts and conditions, I move the zoning board finds that the proposed use will be compatible with the best practices and procedures to minimize the possibility of any adverse effects on neighboring properties, the town, the environment, all of which includes consideration of soil erosion, water supply protection, septic disposal, wetland protection, traffic limitations, and safety and circulation.
Second, Ronnie's got a second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Excellent.
Go one more.
Mind you, has to be a Sunday mass.
What, is Sunday mass is up now?
Oh, you're taking so long, it's gotta be.
Sunday mass.
Thank you. Give us a second.
I'm reading Jonathan's notes here, but
I'm teasing.
So, I move, based on the previously stated findings of fact, the testimony heard, documents received, the zoning board moves that the applicant has demonstrated to the satisfaction of the board of review by legally competent evidence that the proposed use more closely adheres to the intent and purpose of the zoning ordinance than the present non-conforming development. Well, it's not very non-conforming. Well, it's a church in the
It's not,
non-conforming, but.
That's the way the ordinance.
Yeah, that's the way the ordinance reads.
I mean, that's the way, special use permit.
Reads.
Criteria is written. Even though that part, that term doesn't apply, it's still.
Okay.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Lastly, I move the zoning board finds that based on the previous findings of fact and conditions, we approve the special use permit.
Second.
Second, discussion.
None.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, you're all set.
All right.
You just gotta get your septic, use that rain real quick, though.
On or off the record, I appreciate, ladies and gentlemen, all your help. First time process for me, and it's been very helpful, so thank you.
He's good.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Keep up the good
Thank
work,
you.
guys.
Good luck, guys.
Thank you. All right, you guys have any more discussion on it?
motion to approve the minutes from April 18th, 2019.
Second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
That's approved.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second. Discussion.